Hi, Steve.
Hey, Jim. Uh, what's going on, Jim?
I'm trying to find my notes for today's episode. Hang on.
Well, I mean, you would just want to wait on this and record it later?
You know what? No. We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
Hello and welcome to Two Guys Talking About Records, the broadcast that comes to you live every week for, I don't know, 155 weeks or something like that. But we've been live a lot. We are live and kicking. And I am Steve, a record collector.
And my name's Jim, and I own a record store. And Steve, we forgot the air quotes with live in this case. We are alive,
Yes.
but as we go from there. So welcome to another episode, folks. And if you haven't guessed, we're going to be talking about live music today. Not so much going to concerts live music, but live music captured on LPs. We're talking about records after all.
Yes, and there is a big market for live music out there, and it's some people love it, some people don't love it. It just depends on your taste and what you're looking for, Jim.
And it depends on the artist and your devotion to said artist.
Yes, that's right. Because some artists, buy any piece of crap they put out. God, that's an awful recording. Doesn't matter. You have to have it.
Gotta have it. So we'll get into that here in a little bit, as well as our pickups. I only have a couple today to talk about, but you're Steve. You've got a pile. I'm assuming.
I will only show 5.
Okay, then. But before we get to those, I did want to touch upon a little bit of news in the vinyl side of things. The Record Store Day event coming up on April 18th was, let's just say, rocked a little bit this past week. Is that a good way to put it? Here, I thought we would have a drama-free Record Store Day here at the store, but nope, that's not going to happen.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to create more lines. It's going to just make it just so much more, Jim, I think.
But is it going to? And we'll get into that. But if you folks have missed it because you're willfully ignorant, which is blissfully ignorant. How's that? We'll say blissfully ignorant of this. Taylor Swift has announced, just very surprising, hey, we're going to put a 7-inch release in Record Store Day coming up in April. And that just threw everything into a tizzy because everybody had their stuff ordered. Everybody was kind of getting into the groove about what they were looking for and what they wanted. And now all of a sudden, here come the Swifties.
Yes. Well, we got, at least as so far, it's not being released at Target the day before.
Well, no, they better not, because this is being called a Record Store Day exclusive. We got this called up here. It's Taylor Swift and a song, mind you, a song called Elizabeth Taylor. It's a 7-inch vinyl. It's very cool looking, Steve. I sent you a picture, didn't I? I think I did.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's kind of got this purple haze. They're calling it officially a Cry My Eyes Violet Glitter Vinyl is what that's being called. And it is 2 songs, Elizabeth Taylor, actually 1 song, 2 versions. Side A is Elizabeth Taylor and side B is Elizabeth Taylor, the So Glamorous Cabaret version.
God, I was hoping they'd do a reggae dub on it. Man.
The reggae dub. I mean, it looks kind of cool. I'll give it that. And
Yeah.
we'll go from there. But yes, it's kind of a big week. You mentioned to me, too, when I sent this to you, that the dictionary has been updated as well.
Yes, we have. The official dictionary has been updated, and Swiftie is now part of our English language. It is in the dictionary, Swiftie.
Noun, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Could have been already a verb, but you never know.
Well, I can tell you, when someone makes it big, when your name turns into something in the dictionary. We're still waiting for a Stevie in there or a Jimmy. I guess they're under names, but there's no. We're not a verb, Jim.
Oh
We're just
well.
not.
Well, I don't really aspire to be either. How's that? So
Maybe.
one other quick question on the Taylor, and I know a lot of folks may have on this. Well, a couple probably. The price. Now, typically, Record Store Day does put out a small selection of 7-inch singles to go through, and I've seen them vary in price from $7, $8 up to maybe 12, 14-ish, depending upon what it is and what the artist is or the rarity of. This one is listing for $19 for a 2-song single. And it says, well, most Record Store Day releases, Steve, will tell you that this is limited to X amount. This one says on the official Record Store Day website it is an RSD exclusive, no amount given. So, what initially what does that say to you?
It just means we're going to get everyone excited. They got to wait in line because they don't know, can I get it or not get it? But there'll be 1 gazillion of them coming out.
Now, I'm hoping I'm not speaking too much out of school here, but we've been told not to worry about allocations on this, that there will be
Yeah.
plenty to go around, which to me, I'm guessing that these things are going to be in the tens of thousands and available.
One of the couple years ago, she put out a single. That thing goes for over $300 now.
Yeah.
A single.
Yeah, and well, I don't think they can say straight up there's going to be a gajillion of these things out there because then people will say, well, I'll just kind of wait and maybe get
Hmm.
mine later. That's a marketing thing, but we'll see. I've already here at the store gotten maybe about 5 or 6 requests, people calling saying, are you going to have it? Are you going to have it? Or saying, can you make sure that you're ordering some of these? We'll stand in line type of things. Because again, with Record Store Day, we can't hold a reserve or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I rely on our customers to tell us what they want. And in this case, we're getting a few. It's not the most requested, but it didn't hit with that initial hype of the list. Had it
Yeah.
been and had it had a little more time to gather steam, so to speak, I think it would have been probably a very highly anticipated and sought after title. But we're still a few weeks out. There's time, I guess.
Yeah. I'd read on the news today that there currently is a glitter shortage in America. All the glitter is being used on this single, and glitter prices are skyrocketing. Buy glitter, invest because
Invest in
Taylor's using
glitter.
it all.
Now that being aside, we've talked about this before. I think her last release had glitter in it, and hopefully the technology has improved. But one of the earlier glitter releases from a few years back was at Greta Van Fleet, and we had complaints about the sound quality. So I don't think that this is one that people are buying for sound quality, given it that it's a 7-inch as well. You get it for the
Yeah.
collectability.
And it is very cool. It's a nice looking little piece of vinyl there. Little piece of vinyl.
We'll see what happens. There was one other Record Store Day note, and I didn't exactly kick it in front of me to remind me, but one of the titles that has been discontinued or kind of pulled from this year's release was the Pearl Jam. I believe that was going to be a 7-inch also, but it had a book. It was primarily a book, a Pearl Jam
Huh.
book, and I think I saw a note saying that there were some printing issues with that, so they have pulled it from the Record Store Day April list, and they're pushing it, or the releases, and they're pushing it back to Record Store Day Black Friday. So, you Pearl Jam
Okay.
fans that were hoping for that, get in line for the Taylor Swift instead, and you won't be disappointed. But your Pearl Jam stuff will come in November,
Oh,
hopefully.
some things are worth waiting for, aren't
There
they?
we go. So there's the news on Record Store Day. Time will tell, Steve, how this shakes out. But I think that personally, this is just me. I think that the amount of interest is going to not be as great as some of her previous Record Store Day releases simply because of the late nature. The Swifties know. They know this is coming out.
Yeah.
And they know that record stores like ours, independent ones, are going to be the only place they can get it. They can't order it online. They can't go to Target and get their one at midnight the night before. So I'm a little up in the air. I think give me another week or so to field phone calls and messages here at the store, and I'll tell you if the interest is jacking up a little bit because we're only half a week in,
Mhm.
and like I said, I've gotten a handful of, hey, are you going to have this?
Yeah. It's still a month and a half away. What's the record started the
I know.
22nd?
No, 18th,
Yeah.
April 18th.
Oh, the 18th. All right.
So just over a month and 10 days out. That's going to
Yeah.
get here so fast. Holy smokes, that's going to get here fast. Okay, sir. Let's move on to our pickups. Each week, we like to add to our collections. They are ever growing. He's purging, and those of you listening, I'm using air quotes with the purges. So
I've just decided maybe I'll just buy a bigger place.
there you go. You just dedicate the
Oh,
entire lower floor like a museum.
yeah.
What
Oh
do you got
Lord.
this week?
Okay.
What do you got this week?
All right. So the first, and I showed this on my early morning Sunday show because it's Mariachi El Bronx, their brand new
I
album.
saw that.
Oh my God, I love this album so much. Oops, just hit my microphone with it. Um, it's a nice gatefold. The vinyl is very
Oh,
nice.
that's cool. Orange
Yeah, that
splatter.
is. Yeah, orange splatter, really good. And since I bought it on the website, I got a Mariachi El Bronx, yeah, uh, Carson
A car air
deodorizer.
freshener.
Yeah, it's called Barrio Sweat. Because who doesn't want so like neighborhood sweat? So yeah, I mean that's got to smell great, doesn't it?
You
I
haven't opened it
mean,
yet, I'm assuming. Wait until summer.
no, I have not. And I bought a T-shirt, so there we
Okay.
go. I'm official mirror. I would love to see these guys in concert to do their mariachi music. I've been wanting mariachi for a very long time, but I don't know. First off, you don't see it laying around in the
Nope.
record stores I go to. Now, where I work, it's more in the Latino section of town. I'm sure if I went to the thrift stores, I could find it in there, but I haven't done that yet, and I need to. But this is just they just take mariachi and they put it into this century and really update the sound, and it's just so fun.
More modern.
So this is my
Cool.
second album from them. Yep, and happy to have it. Then an album I used to have in my collection and finally got back in. This is Mark Lanigan, and the name of the album is Blues Funeral. This is a reissue. Originally came out in 2012. Of course, Mark Lanigan of the Screaming Trees, but I really like his solo work a lot. I just think he did some beautiful solo stuff. It's a 2 album set. This is the first Mark Lanigan I'd ever bought, and just hadn't got it back into my collection yet. So finally, and I've been getting a number of Mark Lanigan.
Yeah.
Not going to be a completist, but I thought, nah, I'm just going to finally get it. I really like this album. I mean, he just has that baritone, that rich baritone voice, but it sounds like well he smoked like a chimney, so you could hear all of this, and obviously his drug issues were incredible.
Mm.
So yeah, sadly he passed early, but it's the life you lead, man. Okay, we had picked this up. I don't know, a couple months ago, probably the Boston Tea Party
Oh.
out of L.A. Because L.A. is the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
Just a fun '60s psych. A little bit of a pop psych going on in there. I really, this was very, very good. It's on Flick Disc, it's
So
called.
that's an
It's,
original.
yep, it's an original.
Cool.
And there's a sleeve. Now the outer sleeve's just white. Yeah, it was. Oh, Phoenix Records. That goes in that. Okay. Yeah, it was there. I thought I'll just give it a shot. I'm not sure what I'm getting, but it's the cover's so trippy looking. All those psychedelic colors.
Yep.
Gotta be cool, right? It was. It was pretty good. I'm more into 80s psych on up than I am 60s psych, quite honestly. And a lot of purists going, you're a moron, Steve. But it's
Well,
how I grew up.
some of that 60s site gets a little pop ish, doesn't it? In
Yeah,
cases.
it does. It
This
does.
garage psych rather.
Or then you get like folk psych, and
Yeah.
folk
Well,
psych
yeah,
puts me
you can.
asleep. And then there was this one, Heir Apparent. Another psych. This was produced by Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, Heir Apparent. And it's called Sunrise. Again, a psych thing. They don't do Hey Joe. Just to let you know, they do Magic Carpet though. And it does say on here, help and encouragement by Noel Redding. So
Hmm.
he gave them an attaboy. Way to go, guys. Keep going. You're doing great. The label is on Buddha.
Okay, one of the old cool Buddha labels.
Yep. Yep. So not a bad album. I was out shopping. This is when gentleman Alex from his channel's Beer and Vinyl came to town, and so he goes, I just bought that. So he said, you should get that. So I did.
Peer pressure.
He spent $20. I spent $26, and mine's is split and his is not.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's Denver for you. So there we go. And the final one was a Fuzz Club record of the month. And it is from Helicon and El Lover. Arise is what it's called. Very trippy inside. This is a noisy album. Beautiful blue vinyl. Isn't that pretty? So far, I'm not extremely enamored with it. I mean, it's loud. There's a lot, kind of a post rocky. Just yeah, it's noisy. Hey, let's just turn the instruments up to 1 gazillion and try to blast them speakers. So it was part of my club membership, so you get it. A lot of Fuzz Club I really like, but you do get at times clunkers. Other people will say, man, that's like the greatest album in the world, and you go and go, not for me. So I'm
I think a few of your Fuzz Club pickups over the past few weeks have been that just real noise that you're not quite certain of yet. The noise.
Yeah, it is. I had a few, like last year, one of my favorite albums of the year was a band called Sloss out of down in Texas, Austin. And they're really noisy. There's just two people, and the amount of feedback they create is amazing. But I love that album. But I found there was more melody within it. If you get a lot of this noise, but you can still hear melody in there or a certain rhythm, it's a lot. It's not too bad. But we'll see. I have to just play it some more. And that's all I'm going to show this week, Jim.
Okay, I just have three to show here off. And fresh off of our gentle ribbing of Taylor Swift and the 7-inch, I snagged a copy, a 10-inch picture disc of Spinal Tap with Elton John doing Stonehenge from last year's movie. They put this out. I haven't even opened this up yet. It's in one of those PVC sleeves, but it is a shaped picture disc made to look like Stonehenge. It is in danger of being crushed by a bloody dwarf because it's so small, not quite the full size. It's a single-sided one also, so it's not even a dual-sided or two-song. It's just Sir Elton with vocals on Stonehenge, the newer edition from the movie from last year. So that's kind of cool.
I finally saw that movie when we flew into Omaha, and lucky for us, there was an airplane problem. Then they had to reboard us, one of those things. But it allowed me to watch the movie longer, and I saw Spinal Tap too, and it was quite good. It was pretty funny.
See, you're one up on me. It hasn't come around whichever streamer. I don't even know what streamers we have sometimes, but I'll find it here eventually. Okay.
And we did. Oh, I just want to say we did learn that Elton John was a huge fan of Spinal Tap. So.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Once in a while, Steve, I don't get to a lot of record stores. So for me, doing a blind buy sometimes is a little bit more adventurous, and it's usually limited. I've got a few customers that stop in here at the store that I purchase from Discogs for them They've got a myriad of reasons they would rather have it shipped here because I'm here all the time. So, so I had one that had a minimum amount for shipping that somebody wanted. So I had to go digging around on the seller's site, and I found something. This was a blind buy. It is a group and an album called Automatic Man. This is, I got looking at the Discogs description, so it wasn't completely blind on this. 1976, and it's one of those Discogs genres that, that take up more space than you need it to. Officially, the Discogs genre is listed as jazz, rock, funk, soul, in the style of art rock, jazz rock, prog rock, psychedelic funk, and fusion. So,
it just covers all bases. No matter what you like, it's in there.
It is in there. It is on Island Records, and I had to do a little research on these guys. They only had 2 albums, this one from 1976 and another from 1977 before they just kind of disappeared. Originally from San Francisco, and it says it consisted of well-respected musicians of diverse backgrounds within the rock, funk, and jazz communities of the mid-70s. Automatic Man played prog rock and space rock, so now they're adding space rock into that mix as well. And yes, I will say it's got some fusion, some jazz fusion sounds and tendencies to it, but it's got an unmistakable space rock theme, obviously, with the alien on the front, and some of the songs on here as well. Atlantis Rising, Automatic Man, Atlantis Rising Again, Turn of the Axis. So it's fun stuff, and I think it was founded by what is his name here? Michael Shreve, who was the drummer for Santana for a short time.
Okay,
so it's got kind of that groove in it.
There's no Zamrock in it, though.
No, that is one genre that is missing. Now, I also can say, because I went looking, this is not in Spotify, so we're not going to be able to get a good sound sample from it. I'll keep digging. Maybe I can find something in there from Automatic Man. But it was kind of a cool pickup. It wasn't super expensive, so it was a neat little ad, and it's a kind of a fun one. And then finally, one that I really got to do more research on. This is a Michigan artist, a Saginaw or Mid-Michigan artist, actually, by the name of Michelle Spitz, and her album is Dream Rise. This does not exist in Discogs, so I'm going to have to get this put in there. She is in Discogs. A 7-inch single of hers is in Discogs. It is country music from 1981, so it's got kind of that 80s country flair and feel to it. Not my bag, but it is the Michigan stuff, so it's kind of cool to have. But I'll have to get it into Discogs, and we'll see where it goes from there as far as its value and demand goes. And if you see on the back there, she's got her requisite 1980s girl cowboy hat on. So
yep, and hairdo. Jim, that album would have scared the hell out of me. I just no way, man.
It's in one of the boxes that I'm getting to in the back room, and I had to do a little research, because when you don't see something in Discogs is when you got to go digging and looking for it. So that's going to take me a little bit more time to get the full wherewithal of it. It's on a label called 50 States Records, and it was recorded in Nashville at Music Mill Studios in 1980. And but she is a Michigan artist, so I did confirm that. I just have to do more research down the line on her. We'll see where that gets us. So I can guarantee you she's not in the Spotify playlist either this week. So I'm going to limit mine to pretty much just Stonehenge and the stuff that we're talking about live here in a minute. But yeah, if you folks want to listen in on some of the things that we're talking about, including Steve's modern mariachi music, we will have a Spotify playlist put together that will be in the description of the episode you're watching, whether it be on the BLEAVE Network, which we're very proud to be part of still, or on Spotify down the line, and on the YouTube episode as well. So just look for that and listen at your leisure. Not like going to a concert, though, is it, Steve?
Not quite the same, but I don't know. After you listen to that mariachi, it doesn't matter. You're just going to say, who needs a concert? This is great.
So when we talk about live music today, though, we have to kind of separate this. And I think a big disclaimer, folks, for those of you who have been watching and listening to our podcast for a while, Steve and I agreed ahead of time that there will be no bootleg releases in this discussion of live albums, because otherwise we'd be here for how long?
God, it'd be a long time.
And that's just Pink Floyd and Rush bootlegs on my part, live ones. There's so many of those darn things out there. So we'll concentrate today's discussion, Steve, on just a couple of iconic live albums, but some of our favorite live albums from our collections. I've got a few. I don't have a great deal of live music in my collection. It's not that I don't like it. I know some people, and I get some customers here in the store. They hold, is this live? And I'll say, yep. And they're like, nope, I want nothing to do with that. They don't want any live albums. But as we mentioned at the top, I think it comes down to how the live album's done, who the artist is, and what the representation of the performance is of that artist's music.
Yeah, when I did that video on live albums, I had a lot of comments. And some people, that's what they love. They love the live albums. Oftentimes, it's because these are folks that go to a lot of concerts.
Yep.
And, by going to all these concerts, they like to bring that experience in because it's what they want. It's still not the same as a concert because you're not feeling the audience. At a concert, you are into it.
Yep.
But they really enjoy it. But yet other people are going, yeah, I'm not really into live. And, and I said, man, I don't have a lot of live albums. But after I was done with the video, comments were, for a guy that doesn't have a lot of live albums, you sure seem to have a lot of live albums. Yeah, it sure does seem that way. But in the total, when you think how many albums, maybe it's a small percentage.
And you know what? The capturing of live performances is absolutely not something that started in the 70s. It goes back to, even some of the earliest 78s, the shellac recordings, and even some of the Edisons. That's how they recorded. It was a artist or a band performing live and captured via the lathe right there onto it. So technically speaking, you could have these live performances happening all the way back into the early 1900s. But I had to do a little research. So I say, okay, so if that's the case, when do you think was the very first commercially produced live album, specifically saying this is a live performance of this artist and we're producing and releasing this commercially? Would it be a jazz album?
Blues, I would say.
Blues? No, this actually, according to I could be wrong in this, but according to our pal Grok research on this, the very first recognized live album, which is widely considered to be that Keystone release, was Benny Goodman's 1938 Carnegie Hall Jazz Concert. Now, this was recorded in 1938 by Benny Goodman and his orchestra, but it wasn't released until 1950 as a double LP on Columbia Records. And this set, according to my research, helped legitimize jazz as a serious concert music and its landmark release in a live format. So then it really began exploding out there. But I find it odd, too, that they had to dip back to the late 30s for a performance in 1950 to say we're going to release this. Granted, that's a few years out, and Benny Goodman still is going to be around and kicking at that point in time and producing music. So I'm sure that was just kind of a conscious decision on the part of Columbia Records to say, let's concentrate on releasing this epic performance by this artist and see where we go with live music, billed as a live performance on record.
Yeah. Jazz music, to me, is the ultimate of live albums. Jazz is built on improvisation. Yep. And the players in jazz that's their specialty, being able to improvise. Oftentimes, I think I don't always see Sex Pistols as improvising and going into a long jam or something like that. Maybe yes, but in jazz, the part of the performance, people come in expecting to hear that song done differently. They expect to hear some kind of far out solo that's going to take them to another thing. Oftentimes in rock, we don't necessarily always want that.
Yep.
We're hearing this, I'm at Kiss and I want God of Thunder, but I don't want you to throw that into a reggae beat, man. Give me God of Thunder the way it should be done. And
a bluegrass version of Detroit Rock City.
Yeah, exactly. But in jazz, you're looking for that. It's a different type of audience. It's usually a more intimate, smaller audience,
Yep.
but it's built upon that. And you can find so many live jazz albums. And what's a record store day without a Bill Evans live album?
Yep. Well, I think part of it too, especially in through the 50s, 60s, and somewhat into the 70s when it got a little more free jazz sounding through there. The artists who had been performing live and performing in their different quintets or quartets or trios in some cases learned to really hone their craft in front of a live audience, and not just that, but feed off of the attitude of the event, of the crowd, of whether it be intimate or larger. And they would, I think, allow that the crowd response to channel through them into that performance. That makes that unique,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, it does. It definitely, they feel it and start going. It was said that at one time, John Coltrane, he was playing with Miles Davis, and John Coltrane would go on these long solos, and Davis says, "You need to shorten those solos. They're too long." And John Coltrane goes, I just can't. I get the feeling. I don't know how to stop it." And Davis said, "Just take the instrument out of your mouth."
That's a good way to stop it.
Yeah, exactly. As simple as that. Okay. He was always mad at Coltrane for his solos. They went too long, but he's known for that.
I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, and we'll get to this eventually, but I think that today's, and well, from the 70s on, we'll talk about that a little bit, but today's modern jam bands, whether you get to Billy Strings or
Mhm.
Goose or even King Gizzard, for crying out loud, they learned a lot of that from these early jazz artists, that ability to improvise and extend or just feel for what the moment is in their current performances. And that comes through in that, and well, heck, hence the name jam band. They're jamming.
Yeah. I, Grateful Dead.
Yes.
I think how many live Grateful Dead. People have been taping the Grateful Dead for years, and you have that Dick's Picks series that
Yep.
goes on to like 1 trillion types of Dick Picks, and people will buy them all. But Grateful Dead was known for that jamming, for the improvisation. But jam bands are about improvising
Well,
as you're
since
going.
since we're talking about the Grateful Dead, again, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but one of the other things in researching today's episode, I asked, can you name an artist who has got the most official commercially released live albums? And you've mentioned that already. It is the Grateful Dead. Here's the big question though, Steve. Can you guess, according to the Guinness Book of World Records from November of 2025, the Grateful Dead does hold the record for the most live albums officially released. Where would you put that
Okay.
number?
Oh man.
Wild
I'll
guess.
say I'll say 200.
You are just about dead spot on, sir. 233 full length official live albums, and this excludes bootlegs from the Grateful Dead. They hold that record. The count spans from their first releases in 1969 through the ongoing archival post disbandment releases, including all the Record Store Day stuff, the Dick's Picks, the Dave Picks, the Road Trips, the Download series, the miscellaneous and other live sets. So they by far are the most prolific released commercially live album group that is out there. And that doesn't even come close. So some of the other ones, and this is a comparison to others, Frank Zappa, which I can see that, around 50 to 60 live albums, including some posthumous ones released by the Zappa Family Trust. Fish is in there, another jam band with a strong live series. They have got about, their live albums number in the dozens, according to this. This one surprised me. The Fall, Mark Smith, has about
Mhm.
30 live albums out there.
Huh.
And then
Yeah.
you got classic rock acts like the Stones, the Who especially. I've got a few different live ones from the Who. I'm not going to show any today, and Kiss is in here as well. They did start releasing some soundboard series from Kiss. Each of those classic rock bands really has 10 to 20 live plus albums, but nothing near the triple digits that you get from the likes of the Grateful Dead.
So what we've learned here is if you want to be a Grateful Dead completist, you
Oh
better have
man,
a lot of money. A lot of money and a lot of
yes.
room because Which concert today should I listen to?
Yeah, and
Wow.
again,
Isn't
we're
that
not even
something?
touching into the bootleg side of things because there's going to be
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds more of those. But just to
Oh my
think that
God.
there's the 230 plus official live releases. And
Wow.
you mentioned cost too. The past several record store days and Black Fridays, there's usually a Grateful Dead or a Garcia related release in there. And
Mhm.
usually there are 4 or 5 record sets because they're encompassing that entire performance that they decided to release, that fix up and tune up and release. So yeah, it's not cheap. You Grateful Dead fans, you completists for all the live stuff, we feel for you, man. Holy smokes. You better have a third job. And your job is
Yeah.
not following the Grateful Dead around anymore. So you had to switch to Fish and Billy Strings. So
Oh,
what
wow.
are some of the most, before we get to ours, Steve, I think when you think live albums, you're always going to have some very iconic ones that pop into minds, ones that people really are going to have in their collections regardless. And I'm going to be ashamed. Let
Yeah.
me start off with one of the most recognizable ones from the 70s here, and that's Frampton Comes Alive. The joke from Wayne's World is when you move to the suburbs, you're issued a copy of this album. So, but I don't have a copy. This is a store copy here, and I don't know why. I just have never. I maybe have always had these on hand to listen to, so I've never really had the need to dive into it. But apparently, one of the most iconic and common live ones you're going to see out there.
One of my comments was, "You didn't show Frampton Comes Alive," and I used to have that, but I've never brought that back into my collection. And I wouldn't mind it because that was my high school years.
Yep.
That was so big. It was everywhere. And then he comes out with that next freaking album with I'm So Into You or whatever. It's like, oh
Yep.
my God, I want to throw up. But that is very good because he had that too where he that voice changer
Yep.
thing. And
The wah wah
that was neat.
wow 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 wow.
Wow,
Yep.
wow, yeah. I think one of your most iconic is the Allman Brothers
Yep.
band here and live at the Fillmore East. He even says live, so you understand it is. This is the quintessential Allman Brothers, another jam band, Southern rock. Southern rock is known for jamming. They do a lot. I mean, Freebird, give me Freebird. They start jamming on that thing,
Yep.
that guitar solo goes on. But when you have 3 or 4 guitarists, you gotta let them each play a little bit.
Yep.
But this is just, yeah, what a classic album to me. It's if you have one Allman Brothers, this one live at Fillmore really shows what they're about. It was so well done.
How about this one for an iconic live album as well? This has been around forever, and I think most people are going to have copies of this. Been Johnny Cash live at Folsom Prison. It's a cool one, and it sounds great. You've got some audience interaction on here, which I think is something that a good live album should also have from time to time. But
Mm-hmm.
it's an iconic performance. It's a unique performance as well. And
Yeah.
depending upon which version of this you get, you could get a fairly valuable album. There are very early Columbia releases of this, and I forget the initial year of release on there, but it's going to be the Columbia 2i for the most part. But there's several reissues into the 70s of Cash at Folsom. But it's a good one. You don't really have to be a fan of country music, also, I think, to appreciate this one, the Folsom Prison.
It is. The one Johnny Cash album that I would say if you really want some really good Johnny Cash because it shows what he could do in a concert and the excitement. San Quentin would be the other live
Yep.
album from him. Uh, and that almost didn't come out because some of you can't. No, we don't. The record company didn't want him to do it. Absolutely was refusing to let him do it. Says no, I want to. I need to do this. And yeah, it became his best album. Neil Diamond, Hot August Nights.
There we go. Yes. Okay, we'll allow it.
It is my only Neil Diamond album, though I would like a greatest hits. And it is the one album where Neil Diamond is cupping his crotch that looks like he has a sock in there. So that's the beauty of tight pants back then. I don't think I say anything bad that we're going to get bleeped on that or something.
No, you're okay. It's not a cucumber wrapped in foil.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, those hands are not in a okie dokie, but it is a very good live album. I think Neil Diamond is another one of those where a live performance brings a bunch of his songs to life. Sometimes the stereo ones maybe a little stale. When he does this and he brings in that full orchestra, when he brings in the gospel choir, you can feel the energy. And some live albums just they don't show the energy. You don't feel that. Yeah, I've never seen Neil Diamond in person. My wife would love to see him, and then I said, "Well, the tickets, honey, are $750 for a crappy seat."
Man.
But yeah, oh my God, he's expensive. It's been expensive for years. But yeah, this is back in the early '70s where look at that head of hair. My God. But yeah, something else. This was a good album. I
I,
actually enjoy that.
I think you play up on that between the Johnny Cash that we just mentioned and the Neil Diamond and to some extent the Frampton, but any good live album of that era in the 60s and especially the 70s throughout, you're going to have that good mix of the album where that you're going to get the music, but you're also going to have a crowd noise that's not overpowering, but showing the involvement
Yeah.
of the crowd. Something that
Mhm.
I think really basically a good balance, like I said, that tells you it's live, not just the music being repeated from the studio side of things, but it's a good audience I don't want to say participation, but a good audience response that you're picking up.
Yeah, I think it. We're not showing bootlegs, but that's oftentimes the problem with the bootleg is the guy has a recorder out there in the audience, and you're hearing all this audience, and you're not
Yep.
hearing necessarily the person.
Yeah, bootlegs
Um,
are a different story. Maybe that's an episode for another another one
yeah,
down
I
the
think it
line.
should be.
So cool.
I want to show this one. Talking Heads Stop Making
Yep.
Sense. This is my favorite live album of all time. I didn't see I've seen the concert on the video, and the video is outstanding concert video. But they capture it on the album, and I mean, you can just feel the energy of here and how they it takes some of the songs, they change them around, but they do it in a very interesting and good way. And they, you know, I understand why bands change songs. Can you imagine playing the same song, 200 times every year, again and again? It's
Yep.
like, oh my God, let's just change it up and do something different. And I get that. Sometimes it works, oftentimes it doesn't. They did a great job with this, and they did have the different solos happening, and was really Stop Making Sense by Talking Heads to me is just my favorite.
Well, cool. Let me get into a couple of my favorites here, and then we'll keep moving on. Mine, again, I'm fairly particular about live albums. As I said earlier, I'm not against having them. I just want to make sure I've got
Mm-hmm.
the right one. And when you think about prog rock, and yes, folks, I'm going there. We'll get to Rush in a second, Steve. But let me go sequentially here, and we'll talk about Yes and Yes songs. This is a triple LP live. This is one though that it's hard at times to tell that it's a live album because they are so technically proficient in this
Yeah.
performance and the recreation. You don't hear a lot of crowd noise on this, but
Nope.
you are able to tell. But I think with this and the Rush I'm about to show, the packaging of these live albums is just important. This one is not even a let me get the booklet out of here. It came with a booklet, obviously, but it's not a gatefold. It's not a trifold. It's not even a quadruple. It's a four panel fold out of Yes songs. It's just showing the Dean artwork in all of its glory, not just on that, but on both sides, back and forth. This is actually just such a beautiful package that it's in through there. Now, I did read
Mm-hmm.
too that they actually, Dean and the producers, patented this type of creation
Huh.
for this quadruple fold out that doesn't pinch or doesn't just hurt the vinyl in any way. It's still a thick album to have in through there, but yeah, they patented this particular fold out scheme, the schematic to fit this album, the Yes songs. And
Yeah.
it's a triple LP, as I mentioned. It's technically great. It covers a lot of the great Yes songs that you'll see on there. You know, everything from You and I and Mood for a Day, Roundabout, All Good People, Long Distance Runaround. I think it's one of the great live albums of all time and one of my favorites in the collection. And on
That
that,
is my favorite Yes album,
yeah, and
which
it
I
just
don't
happens to
have.
be live. Yeah. Oh, you need one then.
Yeah, I do need one.
Really quickly on that note, let me go to the Rush album. The Rush, all the world's a stage. Rush had an interesting thing. They would do 4 studio albums, then a live, 4 studio albums, then a live, 4 studio, and then they kind of broke off after the third one. The you know, Exit Stage Left was their second live one, but all the world's a stage. Originally released, and I forget the year, and I'm going to kick myself for that. 1976. The original Mercury release as a double album, and this covered their first 4 albums, was a trifold. So much like the Yes, except one less, but a really neat looking trifold with lots of concert picks, the way that it should be, lots of information on the albums the studio albums that were covered. And again, Rush, I'm going to be biased, very technically proficient, but you get a good mixture of crowd noise in this as well. It's a very nice balance. You, of course, get some drum solo action because that's what Neil Peart did on these, and
Yeah.
lots of other guitar solos. But what I find interesting, and this is one for you Rush completists out there, if you have a copy of All the World's a Stage, check to make sure your trifold double LP is the first pressing, but also a little bit later that year, they released a gatefold version double LP and condensed some of the concert pictures, but it's not that trifold. And then subsequent reissues did away with the gatefold completely and made it just a single jacket with the 2 LPs put inside. Everything's still there. So, Steve, of course, I'm going to have one copy of all 3 versions of this just because. But yeah,
Yes.
the idea for this is, I think, originally, as with the Yes album, Rush and so many of the other prog acts at that time, Hawkwind, another great example, with fantastic packaging for their live album. They wanted to get their most bang for their buck and give the fans what they wanted. We saw the shows. We want that representation. We want to see all this goodness in these fold-outs. But after there's that little bit of saturation, let's get down to reissuing this. But we're going to save money now on the reissues and just do a single jacket fold-out of that.
Totally agree with that. Yeah.
But still some of my favorites and
yeah,
go-tos on the table.
Yes. Here's a favorite, and this is a MoFi of James Brown, and it's James Brown recorded in Augusta, Georgia, with his bad self. Now, James Brown live at the Apollo is, by many people will say, one of the greatest live albums ever made, and it is an awesome album. But this one is in his funk stage, and he just rips it up. He was a live performer. So I think here's a case where you can say in his albums, those hits sound great, but when he's on stage and he just starts going, he starts yelling at his band, and, come on, give it up, give it up. It's so exciting. And this really does the job. I think it's just a phenomenal. It's my favorite James Brown when I'm gonna put something on because I'm hearing him, but I don't get all that early stuff that I'm not as into.
You talk about an artist that's going to feed off the energy of the audience as well. That's him.
Yes. Oh, it is. Isn't it, man? He just starts going, and of course you have to fall down on the stage, and Bobby has to come out and put that cape on him to get him up. Yeah, get him up. Fantastic.
You got another one to show us? Because I'm going to go into some Michigan stuff here very briefly, of course.
I have some. We could do that, Mish. Let's see. We'll do this one here. It comes down with jazz, and I do have a lot of jazz, and I do have a lot of jazz albums, and one of them. Take this out of its plastic. Jim's all smart. He takes this out of the plastic early, and I'm not. But this is Miles Davis live.
Oh, yeah.
And this is when he did Bitches Brew live. It is amazingly, fantastically good. The cover art is as trippy as you're going to get. The inside has just pictures of Miles. but you talk about Bitches Brew was based upon improvisation. That whole album is improv. It's just, he just said, here's a couple things. You guys do whatever, just go. And they did, and they made one of the greatest albums, to me, jazz albums ever, Bitches Brew. Live takes it again. And it's just, there's no set structure. It's let's go. But they do it well. The musicians are so accomplished. Again, in rock, you might have, some couple really good accomplished musicians, and the others, you know what? Hey, you're part of the band. If it's a drummer, we'll have a different one every album.
Yeah.
In Bitches Brew, every one of them, and a lot of jazz albums are so accomplished. They put out their own albums, they put out their own solo, but then they come together as groups, which would be a case on here. So Live Evil, Miles Davis live, and this is the Live Evil. Just awesome album.
Very cool. Now, sometimes with live albums, Steve, and this is the case, I think, with the Frampton one that we showed earlier, the live version of a studio song actually gets more mileage and is better known as the quintessential version of that song. That is the case with Bob Seger and Live Bullet. And, the song I'm trying to get off of here is Turn the Page. It appeared on back in 72, but no critical acclaim, but wasn't until Live Bullet hit that song just became iconic. And if you hear the studio version, it feels almost alien to hearing the concert version of that. Seeger did a couple of great live albums, Nine Tonight and Live Bullet. Live Bullet obviously is the big one for him. And I do have a few other Michigan, and I'm gonna be very tenuous on that, Michigan related. Another favorite of mine from that is the Jay Giles Band, and from 1982, and this is Showtime. Jay Giles Band, of course, not a Michigan act, but this one was performed live at Pine Knob Music Theater in 1981. Okay. So, and we've been to Pine Knob. I've been there many times. Great venue. Never got to see these guys there, but still, this is just a fun party album from Jay Giles in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And then moving on upward, and I know you had some Billy Strings. You've got that third man Billy Strings, but a Billy Strings live, Michigan artist, but this is Jam Band as well. His live volume 1 from a couple of years back hits on his good hits, but then there's good 15, 20-minute versions of a couple of other ones on here, which you've seen him live. I've seen him live. That is very interesting to watch when they break into these just extended versions of everything.
Because he's like the Oprah Winfrey of jam bands. You get a solo, you get a solo, you get a solo. Everybody gets a solo.
And then when you're done, we're going to come back and do it all again. One more unique Michigan one, and I've been toying with the idea of doing a video specifically on this. Maybe you and I can talk about it. This is the Dave Brubeck, Dave Brubeck on his own, but with the Midland Symphony Orchestra performing at the Midland Center for the Arts here in Midland, Michigan, back in the 1971 rather. And it's an album called Truth. He was premiering this album live at the Center for the Arts here in Midland, and it was recorded for this album. I've seen this come through the store several times. I've got a copy here. This, it defies explanation. It goes back to those Discogs multiple genre that kicks in here, and this will tell you why Truth really never kicked off. This is essentially a rock opera created by Brubeck that is a mixture of classical music, jazz music, fusion, the rock opera aspect of things, and it's a protest album all at once. So,
oh my! Wow!
It goes out there. I'll get you a copy to listen to on this, but it's tremendously interesting. I don't know if this is going to be in Spotify, but it is all those things. But I have it because of the Midland, the local connection here, and it's just a fun one from Brubeck.
It sounds like one of those albums where the group sits down, they have some beer, and it becomes a what if. What if we do this? What if that? What if? Let's do it all.
I think it was Brubeck really experimenting, and this is at the time you get the Who doing their huge rock operas. So he said, well, let's incorporate some of this into this. But I'm Dave Brubeck, so it's got to be jazz, but it's the 70s, so we're going to have to incorporate some fusion in here. Well, we're in Midland at the Symphony Orchestra, so we're going to have some orchestration in here as well. It's just like a giant stew.
and no drugs were involved.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see from there.
That's a lot of them come up, man.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. uh, well, if you have live, then you have to have Kiss.
You do.
I mean, now this is Kiss Live 2. I need to get Kiss Alive 1, which a babysitter stole.
Well, if you've
Freaking
never listened to 1,
babysitters.
2's not going to make any sense.
Exactly. I got this from Radio Wasteland. It did have, it has the booklet in there and everything.
Yep.
I mean, this is a beautiful copy. I saw Kiss in concert in '77, so it has some of that in there. This came a little later. This is after Love Gun stuff. Kiss Alive 1, I do like better. I think there's just some phenomenal songs on there. I never became a Kiss fan. I mean, I just owned Kiss Alive 1 and Destroyer, and that was all I ever bought from them. But now I got Destroyer because that's the concert I saw. And
Yep.
when Jim had this, I thought, we're just going to pull the trigger for it. And it's, I'm happy I did.
It's got
How
all the
often
goodies.
do I listen? It does. It has all the goodies. How often do I listen to it? Well, I have it.
One of the other aspects of live albums, Steve, we've been concentrating on artists specifically, but there's also other live releases out there that are concerts. It's a gathering of artists, kind of almost an event type of thing, whether you got like the concert for Kampuchea or something along those lines. I've got a couple of favorites in that vein that I like to carry through. One of the biggest and best ones for that, I think, is The Band and The Last Waltz. This is another one you need to see the film of this as well. But just some absolutely fantastic performances from the band, and a lot of other folks. Dylan comes in, and just some great performances on The Last Waltz. And this is not just a single artist, but it revolves around them as an artist.
Yep.
Other notables of that genre would be something like the Woodstock performance. This is a soundtrack technically, but it is the soundtrack of the concert film of the concert at Woodstock. And there's a Woodstock 2 out there. But yeah, triple LP, not a go-to for me a lot, but I think from a historical aspect, this is a good album to have in a collection. One of the other ones, and I did not put this into Michigan, and I know you've got this too. This is half event and just half Michigan for me. This is the Ann Arbor Blues Festival releases from Third Man Records that came out a few years back, Volume 1 and Volume 2. There are just some absolutely great blues artists on here. Not the best recording because it's a mixture of audience recordings, it's a mixture of soundboard recordings, and just it's varying. I think what they tried to do when they put these together was try to give you the complete experience of the festival, but given the source material, they had to do a lot of work to fix that. And you got the big box set from this, right? Then when they put that out,
Yes, I do.
Blues Festival.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Yep.
1969, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Yeah, that was some really good music on there.
Side note, when those came out, and I think these may have been promo onlys, they released in old style paper jackets, complete with split seams and everything. They released 78 RPM singles of some of the performances from the Ann Arbor Blues Fest.
How about that?
Mississippi Fred McDowell and Big Mama Thornton on this one, and Shake 'Em On Down. Then I've got another one with Shake 'Em On Down. Just very cool add-on, I think, promo-wise, that they put in, just mimicking the old 78s.
Yeah, that is neat. I didn't know that. That's very nice. Except I don't have 78, so I couldn't play them.
You couldn't enjoy it.
But I can envision it. So,
There you go.
We talked at the beginning about Record Store Day and how many live albums. And when we looked at that list on Record Store Day, the amount of live albums that are on there that people like. I mean, you always seem to have a Doors. We don't know. That has to end someday because they weren't around that long. But the Bill Evans, who lasted a very long time and recorded so many of his concerts personally. But Record Store Day gives you that. And I just have a few here. I bought at Record Store Day, Miles Davis Live at the Unplugged. Now, this just came out in box set, which I did buy. So do I need this? I really don't, but it's Miles Davis. So that's just one of those things. I'll deal with that. Had this, it's a Lou Reed one. And this is Lou Reed from 1973. And you can hear him talking, and that is kind of fun. He's not too crabby on it. Now, I think one of the best,
Yeah.
well, he's Lou Reed.
Yes.
Lou Reed, what was that one? Not Walk, it wasn't called Walk on the Wild Side. He had that 70s,
Rock and
early
roll.
70s. Yeah, rock and roll. That's a great live album.
Yep.
It really shows, him.
Rock
But
and roll
what's
animal, I
nice,
believe. Yep.
yeah, rock and roll animal. Thank you, Jim, very much. See, Jim has he's younger, so his brain works much better than mine. But this is a cool Lou Reed album, and it's a mixture of Velvet songs and his early stuff, really good. And Bill Evans Live, which has been on every record store day, different albums. I only have one because that's all I needed.
Yep.
But if you love Bill Evans or love jazz, you're going to get some of the great piano playing. The guy is an improv expert, and it shows. Some of his live are good, some are not, depending, and again, sadly to say, on drugs. I mean, he had such a problem, and it shows in some of his performances. But generally, when he got on stage, he got into the zone.
Yep.
And so, I mean, incredible piano player. There are so many of these out there.
Well, let me kick into a few honorable mentions from me. And folks, you'll note that we made it through an entire episode without mentioning Pink Floyd. So here is the Pulse box. I've got a copy of this myself. I just don't have it out. This is the store's copy. But Pink Floyd and Pulse comes with a book, just a fantastic live one. We'll have to do an entire episode devoted to live Floyd, I would imagine, Steve, at some point. But a couple of other honorable mentions from my collection include Led Zeppelin, The Song Remains the Same.
Yeah.
Got the book. Just a fantastic performance from them. Personal favorite of mine is The Tubes. What do you want from live? This is just fantastic punk. Fee Waybill going berserk at a couple spots on here. Just always a fun one. And a more recent one, and They Might Be Giants live, a compilation of lots of different performances, but brought together on the Beast of Horns with their full band, including a horn section. So some cool stuff from TMBG, which, oh man, I am wearing the TMBG shirt today too. So I just realized that. So that's kind of my faves.
That Zeppelin album, I still have a hard time with that one because I keep thinking of that movie with the stupid dream sequences,
Yes.
and some of those were just so terribly bad that I listen to it and they just keep coming up in my brain. And it's just like, God, I hated them.
From the film, I read an interview a long time back about Robert Plant, saying that he felt kind of embarrassed during Stairway to Heaven because he doesn't remember saying, "Does anybody remember laughter?" As he kicked out the lyric in there. But it's still, I mean, it's a great album. It's one of those things too. Yeah, just listen to it and dig it instead of the video side of things.
A couple of my favorites, we got Hound Dog Taylor, Beware of the Dog, and this is his live album, and he tears it up. This is another person that his live performances are the best because he just rips it. The audience goes crazy nuts on him. Just Hound Dog Taylor. He only had 3 albums, but Beware of the Dog shows the power of Hound Dog. I had Jethro Tull, Busting Out. I saw. Now, what's interesting is and someone pointed this out, and I didn't know this. On the spine, it says Busting Out. On the front, it says Bursting Out.
Oh, okay. Counts as a misprint.
It is. Or, it could be drugs. I don't know. But it just, hey, someone didn't catch that in quality control. But it was concert. I was not at this particular, but when they were doing this concert, I was there. So to me, it resonates with me. I listen to that. I think back when, oh man, I was 19 years old, many, many years ago. Whatever. Oh, this is one I really like. It's Cannonball Adderley, Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. I think it's his best album to me. It's so listenable. It's just such great rhythm. You can whistle it, you can hum it. There's no sense of free jazz whatsoever. There is some great solos, but it's all, this is for those that jazz might scare you. This is safe. It's a safe place for you. Yes, very accessible. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, folks, are there some live albums of yours that you cherish, stuff that is your favorite? And what do you look for in a live album? Please let us know. I mean, do you want just the complete replication and faithful reperformance of a studio album, or do you like it when they mix things up, expand it a little bit? Do you like the jam band? Do you like hearing the audience get into it? There's so many different directions you can go with live music on vinyl.
There is so much. And I wonder if AC/DC ever changes up their live.
They have got
know.
a couple of live things out there, mostly bootlegs, I think. But yeah, there are a couple of live AC/DC. I don't think they venture too far away.
I don't think so either. But that's okay, because that's what I want to hear.
That is. All right, folks. Well, please let us know. Feel free to comment in either of the episodes. We don't always get to them, but we do see them, and we do appreciate you guys checking in with us each and every week. But yeah, let us know if there's a favorite live album or artist that you got out there. And I know we didn't cover, there's so much, we really didn't get deep into it.
Yeah. But I'm not really deep into live albums, even though I just showed a buttload of them.
All right. Well, you folks have been watching and listening to two guys talking about live records, a vinyl community podcast. So until next time, my name is Jim, and I own a record store.
And I'm Steve. I'm a record collector.
All right, Steve,
bye,
we're going to go live now with the store. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. See you later.
Thanks.